you looking to back up your photos or documents or files in the one place? Then today's video, I will be covering the different options that are available to you. G'day, I'm Kathy, and if you're new here, welcome. If you're a return visitor, thank you so much for coming back. Really do appreciate it. But I need to warn you, this video has nothing to do with plants. This is about one of my other pet projects, which is anything to do with computers. In case you're not aware, I am a complete computer geek, nerd. I don't care what you call me. I love computers and I love tinkering with them. So let me say up front, I have no technical qualifications. I have no computer degrees. I am simply self-taught. And a few years ago, I was getting really frustrated having all my documents, my photos spread out all throughout my devices like phones, tablets, laptop, computers, and that sort of thing. And I actually went a little bit further than that. I have a lot of movies. I think I have around 800 DVDs, probably 500 Blu-rays. I have at least 200 TV shows, and I have a lot of music on CDs. And I wanted to digitalize it all, put it all in the one spot and be able to access anything I wanted from any of my devices, including streaming, say, movies onto my TV. So a few years ago, I did a lot of research as to how I could accomplish that. And many of my friends mentioned how they wish they knew how to do that because they would love to have all their documents and files in the one place. So I decided to do a series of videos on how I did that. And this is the first in the series. And today, I wanted to talk about what kind of options are available for storing all your documents, files, photos, I'm just going to call them files from now on, in the one place. So one of the first options available are external hard drives, like this, right? They're tiny. I just love these. You can basically put them anywhere. They're so small. And it's so different from how they were, say, even a few years ago, where they were massive bricks, which had very limited storage. I think they could only store up to 500 gigabytes. Plus, they also had to be plugged into power. These actually don't run on power. These are run by a USB cable. So basically, you can plug this in directly into your desktop, your laptop. With devices like tablets and phones, they usually don't have a USB port which will take this. So you will need to get a dongle in order to be able to connect it directly to your phone or tablet. Now, one of the things I really like about these external hard drives is this one, this tiny little thing, fits 4 terabytes of data, which is a hell of a lot of data. And I think there might even be 5 terabyte ones. I don't know if they make them any bigger than that. 4 terabytes is a lot of data. However, you will notice you can fill them up really quickly. The disadvantage with this is that you can't remotely access it. What I mean by that is you can't turn your phone on and access the file. You need to plug this in to another device in order to be able to see what's on there. However, it is a good option to storing and backing up all your files in the one place. And it's tiny and really cute. The second option is using a desktop computer or a laptop, which I will just call a computer from now on. For example, if you have several computers in your home, you can always use one as a storage device. However, it might be that a member of your family may not want you to have access to their computer at all times. Alternatively, if you have an old spare computer lying around, then you can always use that as a storage device. Now, in order to use a computer as a storage device, it needs to be connected to your modem or router. And I need to explain the difference between the internet and the intranet. The internet is external, such as where you do Google searches, your banking, shopping, etc. The intranet, which is also called a home network or local area network, and these terms are pretty much interchangeable, is internal. It is usually a private network, and in order to be able to connect to it, you usually need to have a password. And generally speaking, these only work at home. Now, in order to use a computer as your local storage device, it needs to be connected to your home network. Once it's been set up, then anyone in the home with the appropriate password can access the files on that computer. And they can do so either through their devices or through their own computer or laptop. Now, the disadvantage with using a computer as your storage device is that it needs to be on pretty much all the time if you want to have access to it at all times. Another disadvantage is they're quite big and bulky, and you may not want to have it on your desk or next to your modem or router. Another disadvantage is that they usually consume quite a bit of power. And finally, old computers generally aren't very fast, and the more people that access the files on it, the slower it will be. And most of us don't have a spare computer either, just lying around that we can use as a storage device. But it is definitely one option available. The third option is to use cloud storage, where your files are located on the internet. Most cloud providers will give you a small amount of storage for free. For example, I use Google Drive and they give me 15 gigs for free, which really is very small in this day and age. And if I want any further storage above that, I'll need to pay either a monthly fee or an annual fee, which in my opinion is a drawback to using cloud storage. In addition, I really dislike the idea that my private files are out there on the internet, because once it's on the internet, it's usually there forever. In fact, it's almost impossible to delete every single copy of anything you've posted online. Another disadvantage is that in order to access your files, you need to be connected to the internet. So if your internet is down, then you won't be able to access any of your files. However, if you've already downloaded a copy or have the original copy on your computer or device, then that won't be an issue. Another disadvantage to cloud storage is that it can be hacked. And whilst it's true that anything can be hacked, including home networks, let's be honest, most hackers will go after the big corporations, the big servers. I don't think they're really going to go after my tiny little home network. Now, that is not to say that cloud servers don't protect their files. Of course they do. But there's always that possibility. Now, I know a lot of people use cloud storage, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not my preferred option for the reasons I've already mentioned. The fourth option, and what I personally use, is a NAS, a Network Attached Storage Device. So what is a NAS? It is a mini computer, but unlike other computers, it does not require a keyboard or a monitor or anything like that. It has computer processing power, and it also has random access memory, RAM, as well as a lot of other things. Now, a NAS is simply a box or a shell. I'm going to insert photos here so you can see what they look like, including the dimensions. NASs don't come with hard drives. You need to purchase at least one hard drive in order for the NAS to work. And most NASs come in what is called 1-bay, 2-bay or 4-bay NASs. What that means is if it has, for example, 4 bays, it can take 4 internal hard drives. If it has 1, it can take only 1 hard drive. So how does a NAS work? It has to be connected to your home network through your modem or router. You can actually use a NAS wirelessly, but from what I have read, and I admit that when I did my reading, it was a few months ago, but from what I have read, wireless connections are not always that stable. So generally speaking, NASs are connected directly to the modem or router with an Ethernet cable. Now, in order to access the NAS, because it doesn't have a keyboard or monitor, you need to use another device such as a computer or laptop. You can access it with Linux, Windows, or a Mac. You can also access the NAS through an app on your phone or tablet, but I find the app quite limited. So what can you use a NAS for? Honestly, I think there are myriad ways that you can use a NAS. I think I haven't even scratched the surface with mine. But generally speaking, what people use a NAS for include things like the video surveillance from home security, backing up files, documents, etc. to the NAS, storing media files on the NAS, streaming media files from the NAS to your TV or other devices. This is just some of the ways that a lot of people use their NASs. For home use I'm talking about. So what are the advantages to using a NAS? For one, they're really small. Like I said, they're just tiny little boxes which you can fit anywhere pretty much. Two, their consumption of power is much lower than even computers. Three, they have a lot more storage capacity than any of the other options I've listed today. 4, you can set up your devices to automatically back up files to the NAS. For example, I have my phone and tablet set up that every time I take a photo or a video, it is automatically backed up to the NAS. I don't need to do anything else. So if I did end up losing the original file on the phone or tablet, I know that there is a copy on my NAS. 5, a NAS is not dependent on the internet to work. It connects to your home network. Therefore, even if the internet is down, you should still be able to access the files on your NAS. However, I have found that when my internet is down, the NAS works a little slower, which it shouldn't. And I need to do some research as to why that is. And another advantage is that you can remotely access the files on the NAS, even if you're not at home. Say, for example, if you're visiting a friend or family and you want to retrieve a file that's on the NAS, you can do so if it has been set up to give you remote access. So basically, you can access the NAS anywhere in the world. And in that regard, it's very similar to cloud storage. So what are the disadvantages with a NAS? First off, the cost. Initially, you'll need to expend a little bit more to purchase a NAS and at least one hard drive. However, there are no ongoing costs. Secondly, there can be a steep learning curve. It may not suit certain people who have no interest in computers or anything like that. However, I do believe that anyone can learn to use a NAS with a little bit of research. So now I'm going to go through the hardware and what you need to buy to set up a NAS as your local storage point. First off, you need to buy a NAS, obviously, and you'll need to decide if you want to get a 1-bay, 2-bay or 4-bay NAS. There are some that have more storage capacity, but they're usually for business solutions. I personally don't recommend a 1-bay NAS because once you've filled it up with one hard drive, that's it. You can't put any more storage on it. I would recommend that if you can afford to do so, buy a 4-bay NAS. Also, something to keep in mind is the more people who will be accessing files on the NAS, including streaming, the slower it will be. And you may want to take that into account when you're deciding which NAS to purchase. Obviously, a NAS with better specifications, better computer processing power, more random access memory, the faster it will be. Generally speaking, I would suggest that you purchase the best NAS that you can afford. Now, the costs of NAS range between $300 to over $1,000. The ones that I have, I think cost in the range of $600 to $700. And now this is all Australian dollars. The two major manufacturers of NAS, and I know that there are others, but these two are the most popular and most well known, are Synology and QNAP. I've owned both. And in case I haven't mentioned it, I actually have 3 NASs, but I'll get into that later. Now, having owned both, I can definitely say I prefer QNAP. And it's possible that I prefer QNAP because they are the ones that I was more familiar with. But when I purchased my Synology, which had very good specifications, I simply hated it. I really disliked the way it did things. I found it did not back up as well as the QNAP. It also didn't allow me to tinker or modify settings the way the QNAP does. And overall, I just felt that the QNAP did things better. Now, I have read that Synology might suit Mac users more than Windows users or Linux users. I don't know how true that is. Regardless, Mac users, Windows users and Linux users can use either brand. Now, all 3 of my NASs are QNAPs. So if you were to ask for my recommendation, it would be that you buy a QNAP over a Synology. And this series of videos will be covering QNAPs, not Synology. I would strongly recommend that you do your own research, that you read up on the different NASs available, you read reviews and that sort of thing before you make a decision as to which brand you will go with. The next thing you'll need to purchase are hard drives. And when I say hard drives, they're not external hard drives and they're not just any internal hard drives. These are internal hard drives specifically made for NASs. The 2 major manufacturers, and I know that there are others, but again, these 2 are the most popular and most well known, are Seagate and Western Digital. The Seagate hard drive is called Iron Wolf. The Western Digital hard drive is called Red. There are also pro versions of these hard drives, but I think they're overpriced, so I definitely wouldn't recommend them, and I don't think they're necessary for home use. Generally speaking, hard drives cost between $150 up to $600 and over. I don't recommend that people purchase 3 terabyte hard drives simply because you will find you will fill it up extremely quickly. I generally would recommend that people purchase 8 terabyte hard drives, which are around $360, because I think you will get the best value for money with an 8 terabyte hard drive. I think the 10 and 12 terabyte hard drives are overpriced. And also just be aware that some NASs won't be able to take a 12 terabyte hard drive. Basically, that is all you'll need to purchase. So just to recap, what I would recommend is that you buy a NAS with the best specs that you can afford, and you buy at least 1 hard drive, preferably 2. And I also recommend that you wait until end of financial year sales or Black Friday sales, or when eBay has one of those 20% off all electronic sales. That truly is the best time to buy electronics, in my opinion. Well, I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this video. And what I intend to do in the future is bring out another video in this series, most likely every fortnight on a Tuesday. And the topics I'm intending to cover include things like setting up a NAS, setting up your devices to automatically back up to the NAS, digitalizing all your media files, streaming your media files to a TV or other devices, and things like that. Now, my interest in gadgets extends beyond NASs. I also have quite a bit of smart home technology, and if people are interested, I can also cover the smart home technology that I use. Okay, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below and I will answer to the best of my abilities. And if you have any suggestions of specific topics you would like me to cover in this series of videos, again, leave a comment down below. I'd also appreciate some feedback. If you could let me know if I lost you somewhere in the video, if I didn't explain something properly, so I know not to make the same mistakes in the future. This is Editing Kathy. I forgot to add, if I got anything wrong in this video, please do correct me. I would really appreciate it. Well, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you found this video useful. And if you did, you can give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content from me, you can subscribe to my channel. And for those who already have, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye.